Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is going to be a good one. It's going to be a fun one. I got my buddy David Del Rio on the show. He's got a new show coming out on Hulu called Maggie. And I'll tell you, it's funny because I'm always looking for stuff for my wife and I to watch. And because my wife is very, very tough to please when it comes to television show. Brett knows. He's laughing already. But I looked at this one. I sent her the trailer immediately. We'll talk about that. But the other thing, if you've been following me for a while, you know David also from the movie Trivia SCHMOEDOWN. He's been on for a bit. He's done a lot of great things with us, but he's also done a lot of great things in his career. We'll talk about that. He's a movie fanatic, movie nerd. And Brett's here. He'll do something. We don't know what Brett's going to do, but we'll figure it out. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I want you guys to make sure, if you haven't done it already, hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 50,000, and we need you guys to get us there. You can do it. I know you can do it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever podcasts are found. Make sure that you do that. Do it, and let the English see you do it. Braveheart, 1995. All right, let's do it, everybody. Let's get into it. It's the big thing. Boom. All right, everybody, we're back. It is the big thing. It is Thursday. And we have a superstar in the audience. It's not Brett Sheridan. It is David Del Rio.
What's up,
David?
what's
How you
up?
doing, man? It's good to see you.
Man.
We're finally doing this.
Finally doing this, man. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
It's been a while.
I am one of the subscribers.
You are.
Yes,
you are.
Yes,
I know.
and I love, you're a movie nerd too, and you guys uplift the movies, the industry in a way that's very nice and intellectual and informative and stuff. And that's for any cinephile. That's why I kind of.
Well, you're clearly not a subscriber because that's not this show. Kidding. It's good to have you. Though. Finally, because the SCHMOEDOWN story of it all is that when I was, I guess maybe back with Collider, you reached out.
That's
and
right.
You was like, hey man, you ever want to get me involved? I'd love to. And I knew Pitch Perfect and everything you had done, and it just worked. And you
back
came
in the Twitter DMs.
That's how it worked.
Back in the
days.
Twitter DMs.
Back in the day.
And when you responded to me, it was like really just because I've been watching already, and I was just like, oh my god, he responded, and he wants me to play. That's crazy.
It worked out,
and definitely got nervous, but kind of definitely put a stamp.
Last year for sure.
Yeah, last year
you did great, and it was a bummer not to have you this year. But for good reason. You've been busy, man.
Yeah, I've been busy. Thank
really
God.
Busy. Let's talk about the show, Maggie. So first of all, Rod Stewart's got to play in this thing, right? The Maggie song. It's got to play.
Yeah, but a slowed down version. The slowed down version of Maggie.
Right. No, it's really exciting. It's a new type of role for me that I'm really excited to play. I'm the leading romantic guy, and I'm kind of like always used to playing the funny brother, funny best friend, and when I got cast in this, I'm like, so we're sure about this. You guys are actually sure. And seriously, that was like the first thing I said in the meeting, and they're like, oh, the thing we liked about you is this guy's flawed and a little bit of an a-hole, but you made it funny, and so we're kind of looking for like a Billy Crystal type. I'm like, oh, that kind of leading man.
Yeah,
okay,
right.
That I can do.
Harry Met Sally stuff.
I was like, that makes sense to me, and anytime doing a project like this, you're still trying to find the characters, and you're still trying to find a way to elevate the genre that we're representing, and so we try to figure out different ways to elevate the rom-com, and can you really not? I don't know if you can, but like the odyssey to do so was something that we were really concentrating on.
You can tell, and even because, like you said, the romantic comedy genre has been done, like the horror genre or anything, has been done a million times over. But how do you make it different? And I think that's one of the reasons, like that you had that Sandra Bullock movie that came out recently, Lost City or whatnot. And I remember talking about it with you and saying this movie's going to do very well in the theater because it's not Marvel, it's not DC. People are getting back into the theater, and people want to see something different. And it did very well. Yeah. And I feel the same way about like a lot of the streaming shows as well. Like when you see the streaming shows that are popping right now, whether it's in the superhero genre, but a twisted version like Peacemaker or The Boys, and then you have Obi-Wan, you got Stranger Things. Where's this? Where's the genre? Where's the romantic comedy genre for not just a movie, but like a series? And I think you guys could fill in that void with Hulu.
And I've done this rom-com genre before in a television series, right? So the last series I was in, Baker and the Beauty, was an ABC show that got a resurgence on Netflix. Everyone thought it was a Netflix show,
right?
And that was a whole other area of elevating the rom-com, and it was a sort of way, because it was a pastry show, right? So it had to match what was going on, so it was very, very sweet, you know, and very kind of like you can kind of tell what's going to happen in the last episode in the first one, you know, like, oh, these two are going to get together. In this one, it's a big will they, won't they?
In the trailer, that certainly was the case, because the way the way it's set up in the trailer, and I'm putting the trailer in the description for people who want to check it out, but like, it's in the trailer, it's like, okay, well, here's a psychic who is meeting the guy she's supposed to marry. So how is it going to happen? And then like, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not going to happen from the way that that's set up at the end. I thought that was pretty clever.
I got a chance to see a lot of the episodes, and you know, it's also a mix of mystery there too, right? There's going to be glimpses of what she sees in the future, and then you're going to like, how is that connected? And so you kind of need to kind of watch the whole series to figure out, you know, oh, this one is from episode this, and you know, oh, I saw that episode 2, and now it's on episode 9, that kind of thing.
It's kind of like, did you watch The Affair?
I didn't.
So The Affair did stuff similar. The way that The Affair worked is that people were telling certain aspects, like an event that happened, and then it would be in the perspective of one character, but then the same event would happen, but but things were different, inside the same storytelling. So maybe but you have to piece it together.
You have to piece it together, and this is one of those shows that's really laying it out on the table for you. Like, well, this is what you can expect: a rom-com story, and you're trying to connect the pieces. And it's really engaging. And I was, my wife and I were just very shocked at how engaged we were. I was like, wait a minute. I know what that, you know, I know what that means. And then she's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And, you know, should we skip to the next episode? No, let's watch the episodes in order, and then we'll get the whole story. And I think a lot of people are going to have fun doing that. And then the other thing is just like, you know, she's a palm reader, a fortune teller, right? And what I love about this show is that we don't make it that big of a deal until after the first scene. Then we just accept it.
Yeah, it's a job.
It's the job,
it's her gig,
right? And Maggie, played by Rebecca Rittenhouse, is surrounded by these characters of who are we if our best friend or our daughter or our girlfriend or anything is a fortune teller, and we really dive into that in a way that doesn't really show it. It doesn't really kind of make it obvious to you every time. We're just living life, and that's something that I really loved about the characters.
Yeah, and Brett,
I don't think I've ever seen where a psychic has a psychic. Like that part I love too, was like that, you know, because she can't see what's happening in her life, but she needs someone to tell, and I thought that was a great twist on that. And I'm definitely looking forward to something like this, because I'm so, with my wife and I, everything we watch is so intense, heavy. We need something light, you know.
That's exactly why I'm telling you. I sent it to my wife immediately after I watched it, and I said, Take a look at this, because I think this is right up her alley, and I think that it also doesn't seem, like you said, it doesn't seem by the numbers. It doesn't seem like I've seen it a million times over and that I can predict it, because that's the problem with any movie or TV show. Even with Obi-Wan, watching right now, like the beginning, when it starts out, I'm like, all right, well, that clearly is going to happen, and then it happens, and it's like, and it's just a matter of, for me, it's just I've seen a lot of different genres over and over and over again, that you want to see it when it keeps it fresh, and that's the beauty of streaming, though, too. And
that's also the beauty of filmmaking, really, as well. You know, where you kind of, you know. Having to balance when to take off your director, producer, writer hat and be like, oh wait, I'm an actor. Let me just say those lines or whatever. And nothing too crazy, like, you know, oh, my character wouldn't say this, that kind of thing. We all kind of came up with a way of communicating, hey, let me try this. And, you know, it was really nice to be in that environment that every take, they just kept giving us new lines.
That's fun.
And I loved it. I love that sort of gameplay, and me being in the field and kind of getting my brain right to making sure that not only do you know to say the line, but say it, you only got one take until that next line that they want to give it to you. So you really want to nail it. And we all kind of came in with the attitude of not only elevating the rom-com, but how do we figure out a way to say this part of the rom-com in a way that's never been done before. You know, that really was our focus. So that sort of filmmaking process, and I would go to set, and this is just kind of how I work, because it's all about the project for me. You know what I mean? I mean, we are actors in front of the camera. We are in an industry that makes it about the person on the camera. That it makes it look like it's the person of the camera, but we completely forget everything else that's happening. So we had to have a mindset that I would come in and I go, hey, and I wouldn't even be shooting for another 3 hours, but I would go to Ray Ford, I would go to Angelique Cabral, and I'd be like, hey, I thought of a great line for you here. And then they just throw it. And then they do the same with me. And when you're working with Carrie Kinney-Silver from Reno 911 and Chris Elliott, and you kind of have a little bit of the balls to go, I have a line. Can I just throw one in? And them being so gracious of going, oh, that's actually pretty good. I'm like, yeah, really? That's really good. You like
that's
it?
The beauty. That's the magic trick, because like you've got one shot up top to make it work. So the first one you pitch has to be the one that they like, right? Because if you start throwing out shit bombs, they're gonna go. They're gonna go nope.
And they would actually, and if they don't take your idea, they do it in a nice way by just not doing it in the take, and then and they make you feel like they're going to, and then it says action. They don't do your line.
No.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Maybe they forgot.
I'll tell them again. I'll try them again.
We think that's great, but
yeah.
That's
knock on their trailer. Hey, I didn't hear you say that earlier. You want to try it again?
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's good, and you start to build that, and that helps with the dynamic on set and the chemistry, because especially with comedies, you gotta have that rhythm, you gotta have that vibe, and you have to have that comfortability.
I think even more when you're in a comedy, you become a student as well. When you have people like Carrie and Chris and Angelique and Nicole, and you have people that you just want to sit back and watch, and being in the position of which this character is in, you're in a position to pass the ball this time.
Right.
I've played characters where they just can give me the ball to like nail those comedic lines. Not here. I'm just like, here you go, and then I would, we try to help each other out and giving each other lines and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, and especially like you said, when you're on set, you get to be a student of the game as much as anything else too. Especially when you and being a lead, and being the lead of this show. So like you said, it's when you first go in, it's intimidating to where you do it, but then. I haven't known you that long, but I know you long enough to where you're one of those people just kind of take the bull by the horns and go for it, and that seems to be what you're doing here.
Well, absolutely. I think that when you're, people ask me all the time, like, what made you, get to this part? What made you want to do this part? I auditioned. I was straight up 9 rounds of interview. You know what I mean? And I earned it, and I booked it, and then I just try to keep it. And you kind of need to sort of get into the mindset of taking the bull by the horns, but turning off the shitty committee in your head at first. Kind of saying like, "Oh my God, leading man," and then you kind of just forget about that label and just go, "No, this guy's flawed." Yeah. This guy has problems. He can be charming. He can be an a-hole sometimes, but he's human. Yeah. And more and more. I mean, every job I do, my poor wife gets a phone call saying, "I'm getting fired this week. I know this is going to happen." You know what I mean? Belko Experiment was one of those things that was written by James Gunn and produced by James Gunn and Peter Safran and directed by Greg McLean. You're going into a group that he's known for 20 years. Yeah. So it's not like you're coming into a project. It's almost like you're coming into a reunion and you don't know anybody at the reunion. And it was one of those things that I called my wife. I'm like, I'm definitely getting fired.
Sounds
definitely
like you.
Getting fired. Yeah. But then the beginning of my career has been replacing people. Yeah. Right. So Pitch Perfect, I replaced somebody, and when I was oh my God, I even forgot a troublemaker. Yeah. They called me and I had to fly to New Orleans the next day. Yeah. And the beginning of my career was The Troop, and I replaced the kid in the pilot. And that was my very, very first job, straight into 28 episodes. Everything I learned about how to be a director, writer, and actor was on that set in Vancouver. Following tennis ball because it's a monster. I just had no idea. Everything I learned was in those 28 episodes. But the beginning of my career was replacing people. And so then that's the mindset you kind of go, okay, you're an employee, now try to prove to them why you were employed. Right. And that's the goal. You kind of don't want to come in and go, let me show you how talented I am. Right. You want to really concentrate on being a good employee first, to be honest.
And you want to elevate the material. And that's what you're there to do. And when you do that, that's more so than going, hey, look at me and what I can do. It's more like, look at what I can do to help the project, for sure.
And I feel like more in my career now, at this particular point, I'm learning to kind of like speak up a little bit more. I'm like, you can be only a student for so long.
Right.
Now you can kind of take a little bit more ownership in the things that you do, and
it's paying off, man. Look,
just have to say, you know how many people I've replaced? I mean, that right there
yeah,
is
that alone.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the one. So look, the show is Maggie, and it comes out on July 6th. So make sure you check it out, everybody. It's David Del Rio starring in the one of the lead roles here in Maggie. So make sure you check it. What he's also doing. Look at this handsome devil. And and he's rocking this. He's rocking the tux. Is what I like.
That's not a Billy Crystal look. I never thought I'd be a handsome lead.
I appreciate that.
It's true. So the main question here, though, is the mustache. Yep. Is that for a role, or is you just able to rock it?
This takes me 9 years to grow. I really do just try to rock it when it comes very rarely. I can't do
it. You can rock it, and you look like
think?
You can rock it. See, it works to where it's like stylish.
Yeah.
Me, they're gonna put me in a jail cell. They're gonna know something's wrong.
I don't know. I think it's just the Cuban Colombian thing.
It works.
Like I just need a cigar in my hand. I think it'll work out better.
Well, I'm happy for you, man. I'm definitely gonna be watching the show, and I'm going to be absolutely watching it with my wife as soon as it comes in, and I'm very excited for it. So I want everybody to check that out for sure. And David Del Rio, he's not going anywhere. We're going to talk some movies and some TV, but I got to tell you guys about Athletic Greens, man. I've been telling you about it. I'm going to give David some of it too in just a moment, but Athletic Greens is phenomenal. I love it, man. I've been using it for a while, and especially when Brett kept breaking my chops. You better drink that stuff, or I'm going to take it home and steal it. I'm sure he had stolen some of it, but either way, I love it because I'm not a big vitamins guy, and I wanted to take a supplement that I liked, and I needed the better gut health, the more energy, the optimized immune system. I got all of it. It's great. What I do is I put it in a water bottle, and you take one scoop, and you're getting 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole foods, source superfoods, probiotics, the whole damn thing. I love it. I get better. I mean, last night, great sleep from this thing too, and it looks like a grass drink, but then you taste it. It's got like this fruity taste. You love it, right, Brett?
Oh yeah. The first time I took it, I went to taste it, and it was like that. Oh, this is gonna be bad. And it's got this minty, fruity kind of thing.
I like it. It's amazing, and it contains less than 1 gram of sugar. There's no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything, and it still tastes really good. It costs you less than $3 a day, folks. That's really great. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. You invested in all-in-one nutritional insurance. It's got over 7,000 five-star reviews, and it's recommended by professional athletes. So it is time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system. Use that convenient daily nutrition. Just one scoop. Like I said, I put it in a bottle of water. I shake it up. I love it. That's all you got to do. No need for a million different pills and supplements, and you look out for your health. So this is what we're going to do for you. Athletic Greens is going to give you free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Again, athleticgreens.com/bigthing. Take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I love this stuff, guys. I mean, you guys know it. I've been talking about people. I'm starting to get more and more comments. By the way, do that if you are using it and you like it. Comment and tell me that you have, because then I just screenshot it and I send it to Athletic Greens and they see it, and then we get more and more and more of Athletic Greens coming in, and more people get to check it out. But here, David, have you tried Athletic Greens yet?
No,
yeah, check it out.
Thank you so much.
There you go. It's really, really good. It's phenomenal, and it'll help you out, especially with all the traveling you've been doing.
Yeah.
So where are you living now? Where do you do?
Oh man, I'm in Austin, Texas.
How you liking it?
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. I do. I live in a town called Bastrop. It's kind of 30 minutes east from Austin on the way to Houston.
Okay.
And it's one of those things that's like when you're driving down to the town of Bastrop, it reminds you of one of those exits that you need to take when you're on a road trip, and you have all these fast food signs. It starts off like that, right? And, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, where are we going? When I was looking for the house. But then when you get off the exit, it is a nice city, and it's got everything you need. And for me, these aren't musical theater hands anymore. Okay, these are home building hands. Yeah. I still need a little bit of calluses, but I'm building stuff now. Yeah. But it's got Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever. And then on the other side, we're divided by this beautiful bridge on a river, and it's just Old Town Bastrop. It kind of feels like you're on a set of the Old West, but it has all these. It's got a quaint little town, and then it's got every major commercial traditional, spot.
Where are
And
you
so-
from originally?
Miami, Florida, born and raised.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
you're Florida
yeah,
kid.
Colombian Cuban.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I lived in Florida for a long time. I went to Florida State. So like,
wow.
So ways away from
All right.
Miami, but still on the other side of it. But still, I went to Miami many times over, and a lot of our breaks and stuff too. A lot of friends from Miami.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so
yeah.
what do you? Is that where you discover acting? And
Yeah,
stuff?
I mean, I always wanted to make people laugh.
Yeah.
I was influenced by Jerry Lewis.
Nice.
His work, not his personality. And then and then Jim Carrey, definitely.
Yeah.
Who was not influenced by Jim Carrey? In the '90s, really.
Yeah.
And then really was John Leguizamo. HBO.
course,
What
yeah.
they need to do again, in my opinion, is HBO used to air Broadway shows.
Yeah,
they
those one-man
they
shows that
had
he did.
and they
Yeah.
had a Death of a Salesman with Brian Dennehy. I was like, let's see.
man.
Can we just see a Philip Seymour Hoffman? Can we just air the Philip Seymour Hoffman Death of a Salesman? It would be a dream just to watch,
Yeah.
right? But John Leguizamo, Freak, John
Yep,
Leguizamo, his one man shows directed by Spike Lee. He was a real heavy influence on me. So
Have you met him?
actually, yeah, I
You work with
actually, in a way,
Yeah.
it was a callback and a reading with him to play his son in a
Oh,
pilot.
wow.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
did you tell him?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
And he was just very gracious and just awesome.
Yeah, I hear
he's
good
also,
things about him.
He's also a Shakespearean actor too,
I didn't know
right?
that.
And so he really brings his technique to a lot of the work that
Well,
he
that's
does.
not true. Of course, I knew that because he even took that when he was in Romeo and Juliet.
That's
He
right.
did that really
That's
well.
right. And so he really was.
nailed it,
He's
yeah.
an avid studier of that. So
Yeah.
so definitely an admirer. And then basically on about 8th and 9th grade, it was just the homework into the character that really hooked me and saying, okay, now this is something that I really want to take seriously. It's not just making people
Yeah.
laugh anymore. It's kind of the investigation of it was something that I really got hooked in. And then I went to an arts high school where it was like Fame. So like there was no
In Florida?
in
Yeah.
Miami, called New World School of the Arts, and
Okay.
basically, we didn't have fights. We had dance-offs in the middle of the thing. That was just
It was the Little West Side
it
Story,
really
right?
was
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Me and my friends acted like the Secret Service to the principal, allowing us to push kids to the side so she can walk through, and also would give us the tardy slips
Yeah.
for doing this sort of comedic troupe thing with her. She was like, "You guys are so funny. Go to class late anytime you want." But
See, look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
What
So
a deal.
there, I did the Elephant Man, and that was something that really got me into taking it seriously.
At what
Then I went
age did you do the Elephant Man?
I was 18.
Wow, that's
And the thing
heavy.
and I even remember.
It's like I'm trying to fire farts off of a chair. This guy's doing Elephant Man.
No, I mean it's something that I
I
really.
did an elephant man. It was with my balls, but it was a different kind of
I got a little. I got a little.
elephant man.
Yeah, I got a little elephantiasis down there. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, and that I really took seriously. And then I went. I went to New York in college. And
So
then
you went to where'd you go to?
the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts. And
Got it.
then
How long did you spend in New York? Just the 4 years?
just 3 years.
3 years,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a 2-year program, just really like a certificate of completion with a good job sticker.
Yeah.
But what's always great is that they would leave you with demo reels.
Yeah.
Like they shot demo reels for the students who were graduating, so they had a package to take with them. So you have something tangible and saying, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm David Del Rio, I'm an actor," I don't have to tell you, I can just show you. You had something
Yeah.
there to kind of show people. And I also remember, like, you're not allowed to audition when you're in these kind of training programs. But I really didn't give a shit. So I found an agent that was next to that building, and it was kind of like back in the Ross reports, where it was kind of like a book, and, nothing on the internet, just a book that had all the addresses of agents, managers, and stuff like that. And there was an agent that was right next to me, and I knocked on the door and I said, "Can I read for you?" Then got a Law and Order SVU while I was
Oh, wow.
while I was
That was the first one?
while I was in college, and then all of a sudden the school was like, "Oh my." Can you believe it? Like, this guy's great, you audition anytime you
Right,
want, you know what I mean? I'm
right.
like, oh yeah, how convenient.
I'm
you
sure
know
people
what I mean?
break the rules all the
Right,
time,
Yeah, they do. They
I'm
do.
sure.
In fact, the kid Jacob, whoever that kid's name in the Spider-Man movies, did the exact same
Okay.
thing. He went to my school, who played the best friend,
Right.
Peter
right.
Parker's
Yeah,
best friend,
Ned, right? Ned is his character's name.
and he did the exact same thing that I did.
Yeah.
But he did it for Spider-Man. So
So it worked out for him as well.
It worked out for him. But then from there,
You just see the guy who made the rule going, fuck it.
yeah, exactly.
He said, enough with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we only want you to audition.
That's
you know?
it.
But then just got my agent, and the second audition was that show that I was telling you about, that Nickelodeon show.
And what'd you do? Then you just bailed and you went to L.A.?
Between season 1 and season 2 of the Nickelodeon show, I went back to New York and I did In the Heights on Broadway for about 6 months.
Oh wow!
And that.
That's a good gig.
Yeah. I loved it. The fact that it was really. I'm not very good at sports, but I would imagine that it was like a football play or a play, that a team does.
Yeah, oh yeah,
right. You know about it. Okay, that a team does. Like you go here, and if you have to remember the audience is watching this for the first time, right? So you can kind of market a little bit with your dancing a little bit if you're tired that day, but it's still the first time the audience is watching it. So what they're watching that feels like it's free is actually very technical, right? And when it comes to the choreography and the singing and when you enter and when you exit and that was one of those things that I was really shocked, and also just it's a different way of working. But yeah, 2 weeks of rehearsal, 2 weeks and one night you're on.
Wow.
And all I did was my version of Robin DeJesus, who was just in Tick Tick Boom as Andrew Garfield's like best friend who had AIDS and stuff. He was the OG of that character. He was nominated for a Tony for it, and I was his first replacement. Oh, wow. And he was just so gracious with his time. I was just following him every day. And then the first 2 months was, all right, let me just do Robin DeJesus for a little bit just to get it. And then you kind of find who you are and do your own.
Like you said before, you're going to school and you're learning stuff. Dude, what a career you've had.
Yeah. And then Tommy Kail directed that, and then he directed me again in Grease Live on Fox, which was.
So that's something
great.
I was wondering about because I've done musicals before. I hate to brag. In high school in Nebraska. But
crushing it.
But to have to do that live and not, and keep going. Like I remember missing lots of cues on something like that. But here you are, live television. Yeah. Did you flub anything in that?
There was a time I didn't particularly flub, but there was a time that this was the first of its kind for on-screen musicals, live musicals on televised, because we had the audience involved and we showed the backlot. Warner Brothers backlot, to say that, we're in this trying to make, come join our facade and come join our sort of gray looking glass here, foggy glass here, because we are just actors entertaining. Yeah. But there was this one time where and it happened live, where people were driving the golf cart at the end and they just hit a big bump, and the golf cart went, and we come together, that kind of thing. And then we're like, is everyone okay? Okay, continue on. But I think the reason why a lot of us weren't really nervous is because when we were really nervous was week 1 of run-throughs, because they said, we don't care if you're off book, we don't care if you haven't rehearsed anything, we're doing a run through from beginning to end. And it got to a point where we're just kind of improvising when we're improvising blocking, improvising choreography. And I know I wasn't doing well in my music, so I was improvising my notes and all that stuff, hoping that I was getting it right. But that sort of structure that they put together made us feel like when it was televised, it was just another run through.
Yeah.
And when you're in that mentality, you really just are having fun at that point. And then the audience being added, that was kind of crazy. When you're walking off set and you have an audience member pat you on the back and you that kind of thing. Like, do not do that. Do not do that right now. We're really focused, but it was a real big setup of going, by the time that we are doing this televised, you should feel like we're doing another run through, as opposed to coming, okay, here we come, and this is what we're presenting. No, we were just just doing another run through, and it was just so strange that by the time we were done, it was live in the East Coast, and by the time it was done, I went back to the apartment, and in the West Coast, it was playing just what I just did. Oh wow! Yeah, it was very weird. Yeah. Very, very strange. So by the time I got home, we were at it was the prom part, and I hadn't seen anything. And I was just like, oh, well, we just did that.
That's
we
crazy.
just did that right
crazy.
there.
I remembered having anxiety watching it. Like, I'm like,
Totally.
somebody's gonna miss something. This is amazing.
Yeah, and you know, when you kind of start a, I don't know, a trend, people kind of start following. I mean, we see it in film and TV all the time, right? But it got to a point where, like, you know, and I'm not trying to talk shit, but it was just like when Hairspray Live came out. After that, you know, they really try to do an opening that we're on the lot, but the first song is "Good Morning Baltimore," and it's 6 p.m. at night. So is this like "Good Morning Baltimore" at 4 a.m. kind of thing, you know? And so it's one of those things that when you start a trend, you know, people just you know, want to follow it. But
happens all the time.
Happens all the time, and sometimes with film, you can it's a turnoff when you can tell. You know what I mean?
Well, but look, that actually kind of leads me into where what I wanted to talk to both of you guys about today, and that is like the trend. When you look at a trend, the trend right now, go back in time, I don't know, 10 years ago when the trend was 3D, right? Avatar comes out and everybody's doing 3D. You couldn't go anywhere. Like we were getting screenings. Ellis and I would get screenings, and it's like, this isn't 3D. This isn't 3D. And it's like, Avatar worked because it was meant for 3D. There were certain movies, I think like Dread did it really well for 3D. There are a few other movies that did it pretty well for 3D, but for the most part, it was just hammering it down. There's always, and then remakes started to become a big trend, and now but I like this current trend that we're in right now, and that's nostalgia kind
reunions.
Of sequels, but like look at Top Gun. You know, whether it's Cobra Kai inside of streaming, you have they're talking about Dirty Dancing is one of those ones that's they're doing a sequel. Baby comes back into the where with that club. Did you hear about this?
No.
Jennifer Grey's coming back. So you get excited. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
People get because if it's done right, I mean, you can do it in a way where it's and every time I bring this subject up, I had Mark Bernardin on the show who hosts the show with Kevin Smith, and he said it brilliantly, and he said that nostalgia is not a bad thing when it's sprinkled in and the story kind of takes care of its own. It's when it just relies on it overall. And I think did you see Top Gun Maverick yet?
Not yet,
dude.
I know.
It's something special because of that, because of the fact that when you hear it, you're like, all right, well, they're just doing a Top Gun sequel. Who the hell asked for a Top Gun sequel? And then when you see it and you see the emotion, you see the performances that are put behind it and the care and just how much is really going into it, it's something special. And that's why, what do you feel about these trends right now about the the nostalgia and the continuing on of these legacy movies?
Well, audiences aren't dumb. That's what the commerce side of the industry continues to forget. Right. That they'll take anything we give them. No, we won't. And we're very passionate about that, right? When it comes to this current trend, what I respect about people who do it right, like Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick, is that there's a respect of the restraint of the doing of it.
Yeah.
He's not going to do it without Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
So therefore, he ain't going to force it. So until Jerry Bruckheimer and him are available to do it, doesn't matter how much time it takes. I get that sense from him, kind of like waiting till it's done right. Yeah. And that sort of restraint kind of really helps the project, moving forward. And then it kind of goes back to Tommy Kail, what he told us at Grease. We're not doing Grease. We're doing our Grease.
Right.
And when you have what you were saying about letting the story continue to go and having the sprinkle of nostalgia there, the story comes first, right? Then the sort of label of the IP comes second. Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of stand-up comedy too, right? Like when you get up on stage, like when Chris Rock hits the stage at the Comedy Store and he shows up, they're going to give him a big round of applause right off the bat. But he's still got to have new material. He's still got to have stuff to keep him, for an hour, because you want him. I mean, that's just how it goes. It's the same thing with nostalgia. Like if you come out there and it's like, okay, look, you got me on board because I loved the first version, but like, how are you going to keep me interested? And that's what I think. A lot of these things. That's why I think this trend is working so well. Because I mean, even look at like Spider-Man: No Way Home. A movie that lived on its own throughout the MCU, but really relied also on the interest of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So I mean, it played great. Look at who the hell knows what's going to happen with the Flash now, but they're looking to try to do something with Michael Keaton coming back, right? He's at least going to be in Batgirl, whatever the hell happens with the Flash. But he comes back and it's playing off that type of stuff, as you said. But you bring him in with that hook. but how do you keep them?
Yeah, and I think that when you have directors who are fans first, but know what they're doing, the Top Gun Maverick director who did Oblivion, he's the man for the job.
Right,
he's the man for the job, and
he's got a good relationship with Cruise as well. So absolutely,
right, and then the Flash director, the director, Machete, whatever.
Andy,
he's the man for the job. He's a fan. You know that he's a fan. You know that what he cares about, he doesn't have to. It's like James Gunn too, right? Where he. You're gonna watch a film by James Gunn for the people because he is the people. Mm-hmm. He really, I'm telling you, he really is. He would come on set in Belko and he would come up to me and he goes, "Can you believe this is happening?" I'm like, "Bitch, can you believe this is happening? Like you can still believe, or you can still not believe that this is happening. I really can't believe this is happening. You know what I mean? But he's still got this wonderment of he's still having fun.
Yeah.
He still can't believe that. And when I direct movies, I always tell, or direct anything, I always tell the, cast and the crew, let's not forget our 14-year-old selves who just loved doing this. Yeah. And I think that these directors of these reboots and reunions and this new trend, what producers and executives really, really need to concentrate on is this person as obsessed with the IP than my son or my kid or whatever that kid? And if it is, that's usually the person for the job. With me, with comic books and stuff, I'm not much of a comic book reader, but I guess if I had an interview, I could really convince that I freaking love it. However, it would be very challenging for me. I'm more passionate about putting shows, classic movies back on the stage. That kind of thing I'm really into. Like, Network, Bryan Cranston doing Network on stage. Like, I wanted that's kind of the stuff that I feel like.
What are you watching right now? What shows are you watching right now?
Well, I'm introducing Katie, my wife, to Lost, so we're kind of going back.
Wow, okay.
We're kind of going back, and the way that I watch things, I have this very OCD. I got lists like crazy in my notes section because being a cinephile, as you guys know, watching a movie you've never seen before is just like watching a new movie for me, right? So I'm kind of like, get the popcorn. We're going to watch Wag the Dog for the first time. I'm in. You know what I mean?
I do that with my 10-year-old all the time. Like, we just watched Ghostbusters the first night.
Exactly. And so it's so. For me, it's like watching a new movie. However, there's a lot of streamers. Yeah. There's a lot of things that but there are also treasures in like Crackle in the back row of Crackle over there, and there's and Amazon too. And so I kind of have this particular way. So I'm not always watching new movies. I get
even shows. Are you watching any shows right now, or are you just
Lost?
You just go back to
and Real Housewives, and I do, and I'm a Real Housewives guy.
So the nostalgia thing works for you because you like to play back into that stuff. So it's funny because the show that I've gotten hooked on, and not just Stranger Things obviously, but the show that I really have gotten hooked on that I didn't even expect myself to, and the only reason I watch is because I'm such a fan of The Godfather, is The Offer. Yeah. Have you watched any of that yet?
I haven't seen any of that yet, and I heard it was great.
It's so good. It's so funny. This is one where the audience and the critics are so far apart because I didn't look at anything that the critics said whatsoever, and I'm a fan of obviously of Dan Fogler and Miles Teller and everybody who's in Juno Temple, everyone who's involved in this show. And obviously just the idea of the making of The Godfather, I thought when I heard about it at first, I thought it was a documentary. And then from what I heard is that it wasn't. It was this, and we hear all these actors in it, and I'm like, okay, let me check it out. And we're skimming with my wife, and I go, what about this Offer thing? You want to check this out? She's like, let's check it out. We're just obsessed with it. And the audience loves it.
My manager swears by it. Awesome. The thing that I always get, the thing I get nervous about, but I also want people to understand is that it's hard to have audiences care about stories about the movie industry, unless you're doing Waiting for Guffman, right, where you're really seeing, people in a small town thinking that they're bigger than they are. It's great to make fun of and great to immerse yourself in it. But what people tend to forget is that if you're doing a project just like The Offer, Don Corleone is part of our language.
Yes, exactly.
Right? It's not even just part of fandom. He's part of our language.
Yeah.
You know, and also it's kind of like Sinatra. He's not a man, he's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So is The Godfather.
Yeah.
Right? The Godfather is such a lifestyle for a lot of people that even kids in college here in 2022 would just, they have the Tony Soprano having lunch with Tony Montana and Don Corleone, love it, freaking love it, but there's a lot of risk that comes to that, to what if we didn't have The Godfather,
right.
And that's important to a lot of people, and when it comes to movies like that, that's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm telling you, as a movie guy, that's one to check out because of exactly what you just said. To me, it was more so I didn't know the struggles of what it was, and you got to also remember this is 1972 or whatever it was, where they were trying, like, there is no Star Wars or Jaws or any of the big
that's right.
The blockbuster was Rosemary's Baby. You know what I mean? Like those were the big movies back then. Chinatown hadn't even been greenlit at this point, so like you see Bob Evans going through this whole thing, and how and Matthew Good playing Bob Evans, dude. I'm telling you, I would love to get your take on it.
Yeah,
because it is. I think it's up your alley.
Yeah. I'll definitely jump into that. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And again, miniseries. What a format that people just love now, and I'm glad to see it. I mean, Angels in America was huge, and just the standard of miniseries, and now you got A-listers left, right, and center just wanting to come in and do miniseries.
Beauty of streaming,
nice.
And I want to talk to David a little bit more about streaming and everything else too. And of course, with Maggie coming out on Hulu with streaming, there's a lot to talk about. But before we do it, I also wanted to tell you guys once again, it's all about Storyblocks. Talk about directing. You talk about all these things that we've been mentioning as far as video. I can't even tell you how many people, and I'm always moved by it when people tell me that they were inspired by schmoes or anything too to start making videos. And well, let me tell you, video is the most effective way to capture an audience's attention, and as a result, modern storytellers are always challenged with creating more video content at a higher quality, involving more voices in the process, and yet just distributing on more platforms than ever before. And some of the big barriers that creators face when making stuff, it's meeting output demands. You got time, budget, knowledge, creative inspiration, passion, you burnout, mental health, all of it. Storyblocks makes it possible for creators to keep up with the growing demands for modern video content, so you can bring all your stories to life and stop sacrificing your vision due to time, budget, or resources. Storyblocks exists to help you bring all your stories to life without sacrificing your vision due to time, budget, or resources. Every creator should have a Storyblocks membership. If you're a member of a large creative team, marketing agency, media organization, or enterprise license, has your back with comprehensive coverage for your entire company that enables you to distribute wherever, whenever. So the big thing what you want to do here is you're going to go to storyblocks.com/big-thing and check out Storyblocks and sign up for their unlimited all-access plan. It is storyblocks.com/big thing. And as I have told you guys this a few different, that's not the right thing. I've told you guys a few different times with this. When you go to, and if you find one of the sponsors that you like, you go there and you click on one of those links and you help yourself out and you help the show out tremendously. So that's what people are always asking. How can I help the show out? How can I help the show? Find a sponsor that you like. And I would definitely recommend Storyblocks, and go on in there and get yourself one of those plans and let me know. Always write and let me know exactly what you thought.
I put that in my notes section. Storyblocks. I mean, that sounds great.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's perfect for you.
I mean, especially in a time where we are right now, where you are, a lot of people are the one-man band.
Yes.
Right, and it's exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll have Storyblocks Venmo me later, but I think that, but I think it really is at a time, and it's funny, if I may say that this whole thing with Instagram and social media, trying to keep up with things, right?
Yeah.
I always watch like the reels, and I always watch like the TikToks and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm a hater, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm jealous.
Yes.
And I'm like, that person's paying for their kids' college, and I'm just sitting here watching it, and that took 3 seconds,
Yeah.
But I always tell a lot of the students, sometimes I teach, and sometimes I go back to my alma mater and direct 40 demo reels for the students. But what I always tell them is, I also don't envy the work that they have to put in.
Right.
Yeah. I like to stay and kind of write, talk to producers, bit by bit putting the block together. This one's like go, go. And imagine, I mean, I would hate to kind of just be at a dinner table and go, guys, just hold on for 1 second.
Yeah.
You know, that, and that's my job. That's one of those things that takes another strength, and it seems like Storyblocks will just give that all to you. Definitely if you're a one-man band.
It does, for sure.
Can we eat, Dad, without taking a picture of it once? With just one time.
Well, but even this, and not even the social, the Instagram influencers and TikTok, like what I do. Like my wife is just like, can you just shut it down? And I'm like, I'd like to try.
Shut it down.
I mean, I'd like to try, but like the problem is that, you know, you always got to kind of be on top of it because it's like one after the next. If you don't catch, like, the way that our business works is that you got to get, like, if I go and see something, I got to put, because I've got only at the moment here, we're close to 50,000 whatever subscribers. I've got to get mine out first, because if a bigger channel comes out, the algorithm is going to favor that video first, and you get buried. That's just how it works. And you just got to be on the go. And it's no different from what you do. You got to be on the go. You got to be ready. You got to be ahead of the next person who's going to be in that room. You've got to do something in that room, in that audition room, that is different from the person who came from behind you. This is business.
Yeah, it is the business, and it's one of those things that you have to put a definition on social media. I take social media pretty seriously, only because that there was a time in my life, and sometimes I still mess up in that way, where my thumb somehow directly goes to Instagram. You know what I mean? Like every time I pick up my phone, that I need to make a call or I need to send a text. Before that, though, let me see
what's going on.
It's crazy. I'm just like, shut up, you know? And then it got to a point where it just got ridiculous. And I said, okay, what is the definition of my social media? I got to figure out what the definition of my social media is, because number one, I can care less what people think. Right. And I really got to figure out a way to reflect that it's not affecting my life. There's a lot of friends that I have and a lot of people that I know that social media literally is life.
Yeah. But isn't that hard, though, David, though, too, not caring what people think, though, especially in your line of work? Like, don't you have, because, like, because when you're, especially when you're, as an actor, like, you've got to care what people think in a certain aspect. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe
no, you do. Yeah. You do. But when... I like to keep things simple because already in my life I keep things complicated in my own life. So if I feel like social media is work, which it is, I know how to figure out a way to kind of recharge that brain and figure out a way of what that is. I mean, it starts off with not caring about the likes. And then it goes into not caring about the thing. However, the definition of my social media is still be engaged. Yeah. And give what you want to give. Right. And without an expectation in return. Because when you have that expectation, obviously you're bound. And it's you know, it's you know, social media sometimes can be a very dangerous thing. We see stories like that all the time. And even in my own life, where it was kind of like, okay, this is getting way too important, way too important, that I needed to figure out a definition. For example, like, and I have no shame in my game, but in my Instagram, I am still in Cabo. And in the next week, you're going to see posts of me in Cabo, because the definition of my social media is I'm going to show you what my life is. I don't have to show you instantly. Right now. Right. Because then also I'm not in my life even then. If I'm taking a picture, I know I can put my phone away because I know that's not going to come out for another 2 months. Save it for later.
That's great.
You know what I mean?
Saving it for later.
So it's one of those things that, and you know, and I also love when people run into people and they're like, dude, good to see you. Aren't you in? Right. I'm like, no. People think I'm very good at the gramming, the Insta part. Yeah, I'm okay with.
Yeah, see, it's funny because like I realize like for YouTube, that's just where Mark Ellis and I have kind of made our thing. Yes. Right. So with Instagram, I'm like, I'm gonna keep up on Instagram. I think I have the same picture of my dog from like 2 weeks that I haven't done anything with. TikTok, everyone's like, you got to do TikTok, and I know, and I get it. But I get it. Eventually, I think I'll get there. Probably not, but my daughter over the weekend, because I don't want my daughter. She's 10. I don't want them on social media.
That's important.
I don't want them.
That's important.
And it's like we don't. She'll have a phone eventually. I want her to just be a kid, right? But my wife and I were like, she wants a YouTube channel. She wants these things. Like, well, what if we kind of met her in the middle and we created one for my dog? right? And so now the dog has an Instagram account, and the dog is going to have a TikTok and a YouTube account, and but the poor dog now, the dog has sunglasses on him. He's sliding down a slide into a water pool. I mean, it's just like he's like, dude, I just want to chew on my bone.
Right.
Yeah,
well done, though. Well done. I mean, again, you find the definition for it. You can figure out a way how to go through it. And again, it's like people can know or not know why I'm doing my social media the way that I do my social media, and at the same time, but the point of you following me is you do want to get to know me a little bit.
Right. And who cares what it is?
Who cares what it is? So I am kind of showing you who I am, just maybe not always the way you want me to.
Exactly.
You know?
But that's but nobody taught you that. There's a lack of education for these things. Like there should be in school now some class or something that navigating the social media world or within actors, and it's something that actors. De Niro wasn't like, what am I tweeting today?
It's true.
That's a good De Niro, right?
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Hey, what am I tweeting today?
De Niro doing Joe Pesci. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that. It's great.
See the dog
double layered impression
should I
there.
turn to the side? Take that picture again.
That's right.
But yeah, I think, I also think, not to be all political in this way, but there's so much more that the education system can teach us in terms of getting ready for. Like, I didn't know anything about credit cards.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know about leasing a car. I didn't know what a good price of that was, and we just completely forgot. And then acting is a crazy industry because what I always tell the students is why add acting in your life on top of acting as a character? That just sounds so stressful, right? And putting the acting on top, which means is you caring about what the other person is saying about you, and then trying to get to that point of trying to please the casting director when you're going into the casting room saying, gosh, I hope I get it, and the casting director's got, she or he's got a deadline. To what their job is to show the cattle of choices to the director.
Right.
Be one of those choices. And the casting directors are going, I hope this is the one, I hope this is the one, a lot more than you're doing that. When you have an understanding of that, then you can kind of go and audition, and then you can kind of go into this industry in a way that I've jumped in this industry, that it's fun, that we never forget that it's fun. And yes, there is a big responsibility for doing a movie like Robert Zemeckis' Pinocchio. There's huge responsibility, and they take that seriously. That's why they get paid the big bucks. They take that seriously. But if you lose the magic within yourself, then no one's going to get on that road with you. And again, acting schools, that's another thing that I kind of want to just nail in, because I think sometimes acting teachers act like they really get to the point of, this is how it's not in the industry, and this is how it is in the industry. I learned everything from being in the industry. I learned everything from getting so many no's. Collect that data of no's. Collect it.
I've got
and
it.
Then my 7 external hard drives are full of that data.
I have letters of no's. That's how old I am.
I have my tears soaking them.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So once you kind of have an understanding of that, and again, another thing I always say, easier said than done, right? Easier said than done. I'm definitely, right after this, podcast, when I go to an audition, I'm sure I'm going to go do everything that I tell my students not to do.
Right.
But that's just the name of the game.
Yeah.
It's great the way that you talk about navigating all these other elements of it and not just the acting part, because that is such a big thing. And again, De Niro didn't have to tweet things and do Instagram and stuff like that. And it sounds like you're taking care of yourself within that crazy world, which you should teach a class to people on that, I think.
Well, you have to. You have to, because then you...
No, you personally. I think this should be in a class. You sound like someone that has a grasp on this and could tell their students, maybe add this as one of the parts.
Take his class?
I'm going to take it. That alternate timeline thing you're talking about? If I could just close my eyes and slip into his path and then do that instead of my path, I think I would have done quite well.
Yeah, it's a balance of knowing that the industry that you are in is an industry, and it's hard to feel that way when you're giving your heart and soul to it, and what I try to convey to aspiring students or aspiring actors is it really is a gift for every no that you get. It doesn't feel that way, but when a bowling ball falls in your foot, you say ouch, right?
Yeah.
But that's just really the name of the game. And here's the other thing. There's a lot of we're in an industry where we see results quickly. We really see it as an overnight success. We see it literally as overnight.
Yeah.
Right? And you see like, oh my gosh, Tom Holland. Well, Tom Holland won a Tony for, being Billy Elliot. And he knows how to be, he knows how, or an Olivier Award.
Yeah.
He is a dancer. He is the kid from The Impossible. He's the kid from The Heart of the Sea, right? And we continue to kind of forget of all the work that's being put in. And again, cut to me at a party like 3 years ago, and someone says, "Yeah, you were right in that movie." I'd go really in the stall and cry my eyes out. You know what I mean? And now it's kind of like, all right, well, you didn't like the product.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. You didn't like the product. Maybe I didn't even like the product either. But it's a job. And the goal really is to keep working.
Yeah.
That really is the goal.
Well, good, and it's working for you because once again, so for everybody, you got the show coming up on July 6th. It is Maggie, and it is David Del Rio, and it's all about being comfortable. It's all about being comfortable in everything you do, and it's also about, you talk about comfortability, guys. Talk about Rumple. I told you about it, and this is one when they told me they were coming on. Ooh, I got excited because I go to my kid's soccer game and all the time, and I never have anything to sit on. And they got these blankets. Have you tried these yet, Brett?
I will.
You should. There's a lot of blanket options on the market, but only one that is dedicated to sustainability. There aren't many blankets out there that can withstand the great outdoors, and with over 135 prints, Rumple is perfect for the indoors and the outdoors. You can take it to the beach, camping, picnic, or just a porch. I absolutely think what's so great about it is whether it's weatherproof, cozy blankets, all that type of stuff. This is something that when I was there, I was like, and you can it's got this little package that you can like. It doesn't look like it's going to fit, but then it just fits in perfectly. It's comfortable. It's not you're not lugging around this big like clunky thing. I love it. Each blanket is made from 60 recycled water bottles. The products are weather resistant, durable, and cozy. They make products that can be used in the great outdoors and on your couch, and it's so easy. You get 15% off. Just use the code BIGTHING. Visit rumple.com/BigThing. Links in the description, and learn more. Trust me on this one. You're going to love it. Rumple. It's a great blanket. I'm absolutely I'm obsessed with it. I use it all the time. All right, before you go, David, so we got some, as you said, you're watching Lost, but do you get it, because you're a big cinephile, you're a big movie guy, and hearing how busy we were kind of coming up from all the stuff you were doing in theater, I always wonder about this. Did you watch the doc on Val Kilmer? Val?
No, I haven't yet, but I heard it was amazing.
As an actor, that's one definitely check out, because I'm always so curious, because even with me, how busy I get sometimes, that it's when I was working at Warner Brothers, I was working for
as well. What were you doing?
I worked in development for Joe Silver's.
Wow.
And Joe Silver, and when I was there, I remember being there saying, "Oh, I'm getting into the movie business." And I could hardly ever watch movies because I was so damn busy. And I feel like, listening to you, all the stuff that you had to do for theater and everything, when the hell did you have the chance to even watch movies?
Oh, man.
Right?
I forced time to do it. It sounds so, cliche, but it really is a class. It really is a class. And again, I also watch movies with a rating of 5.5 and lower on IMDb sometimes as well, just so I can learn of a lot of things. But I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, so sometimes I do that just so I can get the movie out of the way, because I know the rest of the day is going to be.
What movie do you think you've
really
seen
busy.
more than any movie? What's the one?
I would say any of the Nolan Batman films, and then my favorite movie of all time is Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, man.
I just think that when you have a cast like that, right, and you also get a sense that there's no ham going on.
Yeah.
There's no trying to outdo, and it really is a powerful piece of filmmaking, and but Glengarry Glen Ross is the one that I kind of always go back to, no matter what film I get, because the thing is that Jack Lemmon gives you 900 things in a moment, you know, and then and so does the rest of the cast, and you know Jonathan Pryce, you know, in that part where he got messed up by Al Pacino because they deposited his check already, you know. There's just so many different things you can find in Glengarry Glen Ross that I just take that little nugget and. Just
great movie.
And so
where'd you learn your trade?
I
won't finish the whole thing.
Right, and that's the other thing too. Like you know, just to have a career like I go everywhere. My mind goes everywhere when I'm talking about film. But like, you know, do you imagine being Bobby Cannavale?
Oh yeah,
in on stage, Glengarry Glen Ross playing Ricky Roma. When Al Pacino's playing the Jack Lemmon part on stage. I mean, that is. Wild.
I want to give props to his son, by the way, because
Cannavale's son.
Yes, because his son was in Mandalorian, and I couldn't stand him in that show. Wow. I thought he was not good.
Wow.
He's in The Offer, and he's great in the show. Great, and I was definitely tough on him in The Mandalorian because he's just we kind of made this whole thing where he's like, "Hey, Mando," and it just seems so out of place. It seems right in place in this show.
Oh, that's great.
He's
that's great
really good. Jake Carnevale, and he's really great in this show. But it's funny because you mentioned Bobby, who's been in so many different things now, but I didn't realize that he was even on that stage production.
The other thing about watching the film in our industry is that it is a class, but sometimes kind of like. Sucks to say, I'm like, hey, I can't make it tonight. I have 2 movies to watch about Vietnam. And not even about Vietnam, but I have 2 movies to watch that is set in Vietnam because I'm doing research for a role. You know, like that's your 9 to 5.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when you're kind of willing to put in that sort of work and kind of look at it from a separate goggles, you're not watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're really just going beat by beat and watching how things. I remember when I was doing just a guest star in The Good Doctor, and it was 2 weeks quarantine, November 2020.
Yeah.
And we flew to Vancouver, and it was 2-week quarantine, and I played a vet that was suffering from PTSD. What the hell did I do in that quarantine? But really just watch The Godfather, Defy Bloods, you know, really wanted to get into the PTSD of it. And, you know, finding the thing that De Niro does, which is something going on with his eye.
Yeah.
Every time in The Deer Hunter when he's having his own little moment of PTSD. I'm like, can I take that?
Right.
That's not copyright, right? That movement, that's not copyright. Okay, great.
If it gets you, whatever, whatever gets you into it.
You know?
And it's funny because it's something like that. It's not like it's so weird when you get into the semantics of it, like because when you take something like that and make it your own to make it fit for the character, people are completely understanding and get that, right? And then there's side of it, like with stand-up comedy, that not taking a certain premise and going through it, but if you're taking a joke, it's like taboo, you're go to jail, comedy jail. Like I was just watching this whole thing where Carlos Mencia was on Bobby Lee. Did you ever see? Like obviously the whole thing would happen to him and Rogan,
right?
But I guess Bobby Lee had him on the show and had like more of a conversation with, and how much of that, like I wasn't buying his excuse of what he was doing, but this is not what you're talking about, obviously. But I can just see how it's weird how we go. Okay, wait, you can take in movies. Look at Star Wars. Star Wars took from 12 different movies.
That's right.
Like, and it's like, but it made it its own.
Well, I just saw The Northman yesterday.
Northman. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
I really did.
I did.
Yeah,
I think you know, it was Mr. Eggers' you know, foray in bigger movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yet still putting his lore.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, spin to it.
What'd you see inside of there, like Braveheart or something? Or what
Hamlet.
Right.
But you know, but that story was another version of Hamlet.
Yeah,
like that was a Hamlet story.
Didn't that come first though? That story?
I think so.
It did, right? Before Hamlet. Yeah.
And Robert Eggers is an avid Shakespearean studier because both his I think both his parents were Shakespeare teachers or Shakespeare actors and stuff like that. So he was kind of like around all that time. But you know, when you watch a story again, everyone has done the story.
Yeah,
there's not going to be an original. You know what I mean? Unless you're, I mean, like for example, Avatar, right? I was just like, I've seen Pocahontas already. Not to shit on, you know, exactly. I'm like, we've seen it, you know. And
but it's funny. That's my counter argument. Though it's funny because a lot of people and you hear that all the time. We're like, well, I've seen it already too. I'm like, yeah, but you've seen so many different movies that just like it's like. because that movie's also Dances with Wolves, right? I mean, there's so many different things inside of it. But the question is, I just watched that movie again with my daughter who had never seen it before, and she knew from what, because she's a smart kid. She's watching, she's like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen here, because this is basically the Native Americans, so what they've done, and she's watching. So she's like, as she's watching, that's a story that's not necessarily, it's history. So she's watching that, knowing that. That to me, I mean, even again, using Star Wars, George Lucas used so many parts of history that have been told over again. It's just a matter of how you do it. And like, I throw everything back into Star Wars, but you look at like Force Awakens, to me, is more so, that is more just of a retelling of a movie that was made already, and not the same things that have kind of like inspired Star Wars in the first place. Right. So there is a difference.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, first of all, if I can just say that Way of Water, that looks so good.
Which one is that?
The Avatar 2.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I
mean, that's real water, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that's the point, right?
He shot a majority of it underwater. Yeah. I can't wait for that one. And that's one of the few movies I'm actually excited to see in 3D. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
The first one worked and was
it was meant for 3D. It
wasn't just thrown in afterwards like a lot of people were.
And actually, to that point, that's another thing that I really respect about Tom Cruise in the Top Gun Maverick chapter. You know, the idea of one beginning the other in terms of the business of cinema.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not like he did it to save cinema, right? But there really is a nice poetry to the idea that, you know, one man can really put together an industry and try to figure out to put the industry kind of back together when it comes to ticket sales and saving cinema and all that stuff. I just love the poetry behind that. I really, really do. And even though he doesn't do it purposely, although, you know, when you see or hear about his work ethic, it's just like, another. He's not the kind of guy you knock on the door going like, you want to hang out? You know,
right.
Like, you know, I have a line. I got a line for you. You know? Can you do like one of your laughs? You know, but you know, his mentality is extraterrestrial, and there is poetry in seeing the receipts for someone so passionate to kind of because all he does care about is entertainment.
Yeah,
you know, he really is.
There's no half-assing with that guy.
He's telling us how to set
he
our
is the movie
television
star.
settings. I mean, did you see the video where he's like, listen, when you're watching a film at home, make sure your settings are at this.
That's right.
You know,
because
the blurred motion.
I need to watch it.
Yeah. You know.
It's great. He really does care. He really does care about cinema, and yeah.
Well, look, dude, it was a pleasure to have you, and we finally did it. We finally did it. We had you in.
Thank you.
And for everybody, once again, make sure you're checking out Maggie, and it is July 6th on Hulu, and it's the great David Del Rio, who is finally in the studio with us, and we're going to have him back in next time. And after the show's a massive hit, we're going to have you back.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Brett, good to see you again.
Yeah.
I guess I'll see you next week. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, make sure you check out the show. And don't forget to check out one of our wonderful sponsors. Make sure all the links are in the description there. If you haven't, go to our podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. And check us out. We got a lot of great stuff on the channel this week, man. So keep on looking at what we're doing. We got a lot of stuff. 50,000, man, right around the corner. Let's get it. All right. See you on the flip side. Peace.